West Texas Droning, the world's most dangerous drone channel, episode number 7. In this episode,
coming right at us!
can you fly over people?
How about no?
Well, now, wait a minute, Dr. No, we can't really say that in all circumstances. If you are strictly a recreational flyer, you are ruled by 49 USC 44809, and late information I have says don't fly over people, groups of people, public events, or stadiums full of people. But what about for professional drone pilots that operate under Part 107? Well, digging through Part 107 and deciphering its discussion of the different drone categories, you see that there are some provisions, but mostly of little use. But I recently came across some updated information discussed on a web page published by the Pilot Institute. Now, this sheds light on some new rules concerning flying over people. Keep in mind that to the FAA, drones are an emerging technology and that the rules are evolving. Always check the timeliness of the information you reference before you fly. It seems that there's some new rules that make it a little easier for Part 107 pilots to fly over people. First, note that you must obtain an FAA waiver, and then note there are new weight classes and corresponding equipment that must be included on the aircraft in those weight classes. If your drone is heavier than 0.55 pounds or 250 grams, but less than 0.88 pounds or 399 grams, your drone must be equipped with prop guards, remote ID, anti-collision light, and you must have a visual observer. If your drone is heavier than 0.88 pounds, or 399 grams, but less than 3.5 pounds, again you must have prop guards, a remote ID, anti-collision light, a visual observer, and an AST-approved parachute system, which unfortunately are not available for all drones as of yet. Now remember, it all starts with the FAA waiver. Go to the FAA Drone Zone. You'll have an account if you've gotten a remote ID or a 107 certificate. Remember to be patient. Fill out the questionnaires accurately. It's going to take a while for you to get it. And then finally, somewhere, if it's approved, you will receive a waiver and you'll have to carry that with you. I spent 30 years as a professional aviator, flying high-performance transport category aircraft, both in the military and then in the civilian world. Many times during my civilian career, I'd land in an airport, get out of the airplane, and I could be subjected to no-notice FAA ramp checks. And this is where two FAA officials would walk up to my aircraft, sitting on the ramp, and they'd say, "Hi, we're from the FAA, we're here to help," which was a lie. And we would reply, "Hi, it's nice to see you." And that was also a lie. And then they would split up, one doing a walk-around inspection of the aircraft, and the other would ask to see my papers. "Your papers, please." So I'd give them my papers.
Your papers are not in order.
They would need to see my pilot certificate, my medical certificate, the aircraft airworthiness certificate and registration, and they would also ask if we're flowing with any known maintenance discrepancies. They called them exceptions. Now, I don't know if drone flying is going to come to this, but remember, especially in light of recent events, Part 107 says that you must have readily accessible for display your certificate and identification, and also note that you must allow the administrator to inspect or make any test of your small unmanned aircraft system, The big bottom line is cover your tail and have your papers with you when you fly. So, note that the first item required on these equipment lists is prop guards. So let's put some prop guards on our drone. And there we go. One thing to note, my drone just got heavier. 248 gram drone plus 35 gram prop guards equals a 283 gram drone. Now you're up in the above 250 gram league, right? Now consider you're also going to put a remote ID, which is 13.5 grams on mine, and strobes, anti-collision strobes, that's 14 grams. And now your 48 gram drone weighs 321 grams. Now that is a 29% weight gain over the bare drone. How is this going to affect your performance? More drag, more weight, that's going to equal decreased performance and a shorter battery life. Here's my drone with the prop guards, remote ID, and strobes attached. This is with the standard battery. Now, I just researched parachute systems. I don't need one at this weight, obviously, but if you do need one, there's not a lot available, and they can weigh up to 80, 90 grams, so you have to consider that. Now, I put the prop guards on my drone. I started it, took it off, and the first thing it noticed was, and reported, it says you have prop guards. It detected them, then it displayed this warning. Payload mode enabled. Max altitude set to 98 feet and max distance set to 164 feet. Fly in a wind-free environment to ensure flight safety. Well, I've heard that you can turn these restrictions off on the controller temporarily, but is it a violation of the operating limitations of the aircraft to do so? That's something you got to consider, and I don't know what the FAA's view would be on that. Anyway, let's load up the drone and try it out. I kind of dilly-dallied on this. I'll go out and I picked it up and I showed that I'd installed stuff on it and I turned them on and then I set it down and then I launched it, and here's what that looks like. First thing I noticed is a little bit of breeze caught that drone and pushed it off from over the top of the takeoff pad. So it was struggling a little bit with those prop guards, the increased mass of the drone, to compensate for the wind. Now we'll go ahead and switch over to the drone view, and I'm showing the screen recording and the drone camera recording, and I'm trying to synchronize them. I tried it for this. I had never tried this before, and to get them to run in synchronization was a learning experience for me. So if you know an easy way to do this, let me know in the comments section or give me a holler. I wasn't going to be real aggressive on my control inputs during this first flight with all the equipment on it. So I just did some basic maneuvers flying around. I went ahead and switched to normal mode, and then I just tried to see how it handled and how it behaved in this new environment. And they're climbing up at the first time and notice that we hit our max altitude as advertised by the payload mode, and so it would not let me climb above 98 feet, and I didn't turn it off to see if I could cut that off. I just let it stay where it was during this first test. And then during the maneuver, I found out that indeed about 160 feet is all they're going to let you fly away in distance from the controller. And I did note that with the prop guards on, the drone was a little easier to keep an eye on. It was a little bigger, easier to keep in visual range. But with the distance limitation on the payload mode, it didn't make a whole lot of difference. There I got up to about 18 miles an hour, and I think 20 something is normally what you get in normal mode. And I checked the rotational agility of the drone. It seemed to be okay. And you can see that battery charge percentage ticking away as we fly. The aircraft was a little bit more sluggish with its controls. With the, I think the main issue was the prop guards kind of reduced the amount of thrust from the propellers. And so now we're going to set the drone down. I'll switch to the camera view, and on this one I kind of messed around a little bit getting it down, so I'll go ahead and speed this up and bring it down over the pad where I go ahead and land it. I cut the sound off here because the little bit of wind came up and it was really annoying wind noise. So that's the difference in the drone between your sleek, agile little drone and turning it into a pack mule. There is a difference both in performance and in battery life. So that's something to consider if you're going to get into this. But I had to try it, and I think next time I'll come out and try some of the other features of the drone and see what I can come up with as far as the differences in handling. So that was West Texas Droning for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the test I ran. If you've done the same and come up with different results, please let me know in the comments section there. I'd be glad to hear from you. And until next time, wish you safe droning, and we will see you later.